Standards of the Guqin, an English language introduction to the Chinese 7-string zither. Back in 2010, I wrote a textbook that not only covered teaching the performance technique of the instrument, but one that provided context of the culture of playing the instrument in the past, the present, and for visions of how it's going to be played for the future. After all, to those lucky ones who have encountered Guqin music and fall in love with it, meant that taking part and sharing the camaraderie in the social circle of Guqin societies was necessary, in person or online. Yet, despite the fact that Guqin knowledge is the most written about in the Chinese musical tradition, and as well the most translated Chinese music topic in the West, many are still left clueless or confused when dealing with basic or essential concepts in discussions, especially when musicology and lore are concerned. While we do have marvelous sources like Robert Hans Hulick's Lore of the Lute, there has yet been an English publication that properly introduces Chinese musical knowledge in its own context, rather than, say, a comparative ethnological study. Now, just how does one tackle a question as big as what is Chinese music? University survey courses on world music often will introduce the topic by present examples of modern surviving forms and perhaps outline its features, such as its pentatonism or heterophony. But how or why this characteristic has come to be was never explained, and often leaves students with the impression that, Chinese music has always been this way. It doesn't help either when even music conservatories in China teach their own students that Chinese music is a musical style that can be essentialized as certain tropes that can be implemented like a plug-in extension in computer programming, under a framework based on Western harmony and counterpoint. So it is for this reason that beginning the 3rd edition of my book, I started covering a brief history of temperament, modality, and its application to this particular instrument, a topic that is traditionally covered in larger manuscripts, traditional manuscripts, but omitted in the newer Chinese textbooks that are printed today, often intentionally to favor a more focus on technical performance. So, why are we starting off with temperament? Music as a whole is about using different ways humans make meaning, with a curated collection of sounds. Encompasses ideas ranging from abstract stuff like cosmology and religion to more physical and concrete discoveries like frequency and its measurements, the sciencey stuff. So before we get into the less comparable factors all mixed into this final product, it's always easier to start understanding things from the most basic building block. And that is actually how the Chinese taught their own music students and scholars. From here, with how their tradition of understanding sound and making meaningful tones came to be. Unlike Western history on the subject, where the timeline basically jumps from ancient Greece suddenly to the 16th century in Renaissance Italy, so well over a millennium apart, the Chinese story doesn't have this big middle gap in the Middle Ages, where nothing basically developed and it's all basically stopped and nobody's written anything about it. No, just the opposite. However, just because this story is unbroken over the ages doesn't mean that it's all smooth sailing. So over the course of the next 5 episodes, I will tell about the creative innovation, the heated arguments, and the brutal, absolutely brutal setbacks in the history of Chinese temperament and tonal standards. Perhaps then followed by a 6th episode, in particular regard to how the temperament is related and applied to the 7-string zither. So this video series idea was made possible by the friendly members and colleagues at the Facebook Guqin International Group, and of course especially to the many people who supported my work by buying my book. The research on this topic that you're about to see is by no means an easy task, which took me to university libraries in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and here in Toronto, and 4 years to compile and summarize. So if you like my work or agree with the philosophy backing my style of teaching, please consider supporting me on Patreon, where you can have a say in what other content you would like to see from me from here. For the still deciding, or if you haven't done so already, be sure to click that subscribe button and the bell icon on YouTube to tell you when the next little bit of content will come out on my channel. With that said, I'll see you all in the next video, where we'll begin our story about phoenixes, bamboo pipes, and cosmological arithmetic. Until then.